these are pitch deck elements which you need to prepare. As I earlier said, that presentations are as important as convincing the investor. So you need to present all the requisite elements that are required. Normally, PPT for pitch deck should not be 10-12 slides or more. It could be even up to 15 or 20 slides. That is when you essentially require some things to be added in addition to the normal standard version. But these elements are there, and you cannot miss any of these. Like, you have to start with the problem statement, the problem that you have identified, and that problem should be in fact quantified also if you are sure about the problem and the gap. It's the business gap in this supply chain that you have identified. You have identified certain problem in the system that you want to address, and if you have identified the problem, you also are required to identify the solution, and that solution must be disruptive. It must be, if it's a startup, you want to create a startup, it has to be a technology based. If these two things combine, then the investor is interested. Otherwise, he'll find that it's only a simple entrepreneurship, which is not going to scale up. His funds have to grow, so he wants you to grow. He wants your product or your business or your enterprise to be a scaling up project, a growth-oriented project. So the solution has to be in terms of technology, in terms of disruption. It has to be a cut above the rest. So if that is the case, then the investor is interested. You have to spell it out in your solution. You have to, if it is a product, then product has to be something new. It has to be new innovation. It has to be something which has not been prepared or produced so far, or produced but you have added value to it, which was not there previously. If it is a technology, it has to be something disruptive technology. Or if nothing else, it has to be a cost-effective technology. If somebody else has already prepared that technology, yours must be cost-effective. It's like a Nokia phone followed by a Samsung phone. Both are phones, but the value has now been added. Enough Samsung is there, there's an Apple phone. If Apple is there, it's a costlier phone and people want similar kind of technology. They have other phones with similar kind of technology, but cost-effective. So anything that attracts the customer is something which is disruptive. That has to be described to the investor, or the service that you are actually offering. It has to be something different from the other people. So this also goes with the unique selling proposition. Unique selling proposition is something which hooks up the customer. Customer is to be hooked up with our selling proposition, that we give this, nobody else gives this. We have added this value, nobody else gives this value. We are cost effective, nobody else is as competitive as we are. So in that landscape, you are selling your product in a unique proposition. This also needs to be described properly. Then the business model. This business model must be clear from A to Z. You have to be clear yourself, and then have to explain the model that you are preparing. Then the competitive landscape, you will have to see that who else is doing the same thing that you are trying to do. Or if somebody is doing, but he's in another geographical region, and his product may not be competing in your geography, then maybe you are good enough to go ahead. But if they are overlapping each other, then you will have to find some niche where you can work, and somebody else in the competitive landscape will work in his own niche. This also has to be clearly defined. Then market positioning, where you are, what are the challenges over there. You have to do a SWOT analysis of yourself as well as the product that or the service that you have created. You have to position yourself where you actually belong, and then see if all what you have placed is in its right position to be sustainable and then growth oriented. Then if you are already in post revenue stage, then the current financials will be very important for the investor to understand. He would like to see your current financial position, financial statements, your balance sheet, your profit and loss accounts, and your EBITDA. Everything will be very interesting and important for him to understand as to what they have been doing till now. So current financials are very much important. important part of the pitch deck. Then this could be an earlier stage slide, market size opportunity, or it could be here if you have the chronology properly set up. You have to have an idea of the market size, the opportunity that comes with the size, the total. If there's a total market, then there's an addressable market, which one is a big, let's say it's a gap of 100 crores, and you have the capacity or you have the intention to address only 10 crores of it. So your market address, you are addressing only 10 crores of the gap that is there. The 90% would be addressed by somebody else. So that is the idea you must have. You cannot have the entire cake. That is not always possible, unless somebody is a Facebook or a Twitter or somebody else. The entire globe is his market. It's not possible with every startup. So you need to have a clear idea of the market size that you are going to address. That is the addressable market. If you don't have this idea, even the best of startups falter here because they think the market is there and we can address each and every bit of it. There are other players thinking on the same lines, and they will also address some part of it. So you'll have to actually identify the market niche. That is very important, and clearly define it in your PPT. After discussing all of this, you then pitch for the funds. You ask for an amount which you require at that particular stage, and stage we'll be discussing in the coming slides. So there comes that slide which everybody actually during this pitch deck presentation is waiting for, as to how much amount do they ask at this stage, and what is the round of funding, and according to round of funding, the funds would also be commensurate. So this is very important slide what people are very interested in. And then you also give team description. That I earlier said that team description is one of the essential parts of your entire strategy. So team has to be each who complement each other, complementary to each other. Somebody must be doing some part of the business or some part of the services or some part of the work that the entire startup is actually doing. They must be complementing each other. If that is the team, and if co-founders are doing it of their own, there are 4 or 5 people and 5 are looking after 5 verticals of the entire business, it's going to be a very successful team. It's their idea, it's their effort, it's their skin that's actually involved. So they would be doing the best of work. I've seen one startup is incubated with us. There are 4 people doing Kashmir arts, and they're exporting through their own platform and as also on Amazon. One is a technology expert. Another one's an artisan himself. He has a family background of artisanship. The third one is an expert on marketing. He is a salesman. He has an MBA. And the fourth one is also complementing the last stage, actually doing administrative part. He's managing the whole affair. So all of them are a total team. They have not left any gap. So this kind of a team build is very, you can say, a successful team, which investors are also happy about. But if you need to have higher team members, you have to have these members as passionate as you yourself are. I've seen team members, they come for a salary. They may be capable, they may be competent to do their part of work that you entrust to them, but then they will be interested to the extent their financial interests are intact. If you want to build a team which is as passionate as you want them to be, involve them in some part of decision making. Delegate some part of decision making to them. And I've seen it practically because I have an experience of 29 years in income tax department. Team building was one of my jobs. And I have seen when you entrust jobs and decision making to your team members, they feel elated, they feel involved, and they feel responsible. So when that happens, you find them doing work as if you wanted them to do. So that part is very important in team building, and team is also a very essential part of the PPT when investors look at your startup. They want to know if they are competent enough, or they will just take the money and we will not be sure about how they spend that money during their growth journey. And finally, you give your contact information for investors to come up with their offers if they are interested. So this is the homework that you do before pitching your idea. So you pitch your idea, you have found out that you need money, you are at a stage where you need to grow, or you are at the pre-seed round stage. We'll talk about the rounds. And then you need investors to be interested in your startup. You give them the entire toolkit, describe it to them. Then you hope that the person who has actually shown interest in the beginning actually comes up with some kind of an offer. So let's hope they come up with it.